Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I wanted to share a little story with you. The other day, my son came into my office and asked me if he could do something. I don't even remember what it was. And I stared at him, and I just stared at him. And he said, "Well, can I?" And in that moment, I was completely paralyzed. You see, it wasn't even 9 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't possibly make one more decision. And so the only thing I could say to him was, "I don't know." And he said, "Well, what do you mean you don't know?" And I looked at him, I said, "I don't know. Please come and ask me again later." You see, I was exhausted. I hadn't slept well the night before. I don't even remember what was going on that morning, but it was decision after decision after decision. And I had finally reached my peak for the day. I couldn't make one more decision, and it was 9 o'clock a.m. Have you ever had this where it happened to you where you just hit that wall? We call it decision fatigue, where it's physically impossible for you to make one more decision. You see, the reality is that we make hundreds of decisions in a day, and a lot you don't even notice. What to have for breakfast, what to wear, what route to take to work, what time you got to leave work to pick the kids up to do whatever the thing is. What are the kids wearing today? The decisions that we need, should I exercise? Should I not? The decisions that we need to make for ourselves are never ending. And the reality is that when you become a parent, those decisions just go exponentially, because not only are you deciding, especially when you have young kids, for yourself, you're also deciding for them as well. And so fatigue and decision fatigue, like physical fatigue and decision fatigue, go hand in hand, because it can be really, really challenging to make decisions when we're exhausted. In fact, it might even be the first thing to go. You can plod along in your day, you can do the tasks that you need to do, but if someone asks you to make an important decision, nope, forget about it. I don't have the capacity left. And the reality is that making decisions is a huge part of keeping ourselves healthy. Because we need to decide, am I going to have a lunch that I feel great about, or a lunch that makes me feel sluggish and tired in the afternoon? Am I going to get up and exercise today, or am I not going to do that? We make decisions about our health constantly. And when we're exhausted and we have no more capacity for making decisions, we inevitably take the easy route. And I can assure you that the easy route does not usually mean the healthier route. And so willpower, honestly, has nothing to do with it when you're exhausted, you're tired, and you just physically cannot make one more decision. So how do we prevent this? How do we keep ourselves from getting to this point where at 9 a.m. in the morning and your kid is asking you for something and you just have to say, "I don't know"? Well, here are a few things that I want to talk about today that you can focus on to make sure that you don't get to this point. Number one is sleep. Focusing on your sleep, making sure you're getting a good night's sleep, means that you are going to be a better decision maker. This was my big problem when my son asked me this the other day. I hadn't slept well that night. I don't remember why. I hadn't slept well for the couple nights before. I was exhausted, and I knew that I had already reached the end of my rope that day. So by focusing on your sleep, that ensures that you're going to be rested enough to make decisions. So sleep is a big one. I have a ton of resources about different ways and different things to do about sleep, but a couple things that I would really highlight. Number one is set yourself up for a really great sleep routine. Pick a time of day that you can go to bed consistently, and pick a time of morning that you can get up consistently, and keep that as consistent as possible. The other good thing about that is that it eliminates the decision on the need to go to bed at a certain time, or deciding when to go to bed and deciding when to get up in the morning. If that's already part of your routine, that decision's eliminated entirely. The other thing around sleep routine that I recommend often is keeping your activities around sleep the same. So if you are going to, read a book before bed, or, don't check the news, stop checking the news 2 hours before you go to bed, or whatever your sleep routine looks like, keep your activities around sleep the same. And that will help get you into a really healthy sleep pattern. So there's lots of things. I'll link a few resources I have in the description below. There's lots to think about when it comes to sleep, but if I can give you one piece of advice, it would be the sleep routine. Number two is a meal plan. How many decisions do you make each day around food? again, food for yourself, food for your family, food for whoever else you need to provide. If you're having people over for a meal, you've got to think about what you're going to feed them, plan all that out. It's all decisions. If you do a meal plan, which does require some decision investment, but if you do a meal plan, it sets you up for not having to make those decisions throughout the week. And I can guarantee that by 5 p.m, when you're exhausted and tired and you've really already hit that wall of decision fatigue, that deciding on making a really good meal that's going to fuel you and make you feel amazing is not high on the list. But if that decision is already made for you, if that's already on a list on your fridge somewhere, you don't have to think about it. It's already there. You just need to follow the steps. A meal plan is one of the best ways to keep yourself consistent, on track, feeling great, fueling yourself without having to make decisions. I cannot overstate how important and helpful meal planning is. I have a resource specifically on meal planning that I'll link below, but try and see if you can find an option that works for you and stick with it, because I promise it's going to pay off. Number 3 is have a morning routine. Just like you would have an evening routine before you go to bed, but a morning routine, again, eliminates a lot of the decisions that need to be made in the day. Maybe you're consistent with what you have for breakfast in the morning. Maybe you have, you're consistent with that you exercise in the morning. Maybe you're consistent with what time you make your coffee, what time your kids get up. Whatever it looks like for you, it's 1 less, 2 less, a dozen less decisions that need to be made. If you know that this activity comes before this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, that's your morning routine. Decisions are not needed first thing in the morning. However, number 4 is make your big decisions earlier in the morning. So we generally do have more capacity in the morning. Even if you've had a not so great night's sleep, our capacity for hard problem solving, thinking, decision making is higher in the morning. So if my son had come in at 7 o'clock, let's say, and said, can I do this? I probably would have been able to make a decision for him. Now, I should have still been able to do that at 9. I wasn't, but we do generally have more capacity in the morning. So if you have some big decisions coming up, if you've got some really big things that you need to think about, to figure out, set some time aside at work or home or wherever. Set some time aside in the morning to kind of reflect on those and think about those and make some decisions, because it's going to be a much more productive time for you than at the end of the day when you're too tired to think about anything. And number 5 is delegate decisions. So we know about delegation and delegation at home and delegation at work are 2 separate things. So delegating at work is absolutely important as well. Do you have employees? Do you have coworkers? Do you have people that can kind of help and take some of the decisions off of your plate? Use that. At home, do you have a partner that you can delegate some decisions to? Maybe your kids, depending on their age, they can delegate, you can delegate some decisions to them. Maybe they don't need to run every snack they have by you anymore. Maybe they don't need to run their clothes by you in the morning, right? Maybe some of those decisions can be made by them. Maybe your partner can be the one that's responsible for deciding when to schedule dentist appointments for the family or doctor's appointments. However that looks like for you, take some of those decisions off your plate, give them to someone else, and let someone else think about those decisions and put them on their decision-making plate for the day. So even deciding what to wear can take a ton of energy. Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, famously wore jeans and a black turtleneck every day. He knew that his energy was better spent thinking about things for Apple and things, innovations for the company, than figuring out what he needed to pull out of his closet. So he simplified. That can work for you too. Wherever you can find a way to kind of reduce the requirement of your decisions in a day, it's going to be beneficial for you. But honestly, I cannot stress the importance of sleep. It doesn't matter if you can delegate the decisions, if you're doing them in the morning, it doesn't matter what's happening when, if you're not rested. So if sleep is a challenge for you, take a look at it. Are you waking up in the morning feeling exhausted? Or do you know that you're not sleeping well and you're tired anyway? Have a look at your sleep. This is something I can help you with. I'm going to link in the description a free workshop I have on sleep. It's a really good place to start if you're an exhausted woman of any age. But I hope you're feeling energetic, rested, ready to make some decisions. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and I hope you have a great day.